Okay, so I've made a bunch and I think I'm pretty good at it now, so I'm gonna make a tutorial. All right, so I've cut my fabric, and this is a 9 by 15. No, this is 9 by 7.5. 9 by 7.5, usually I would use a 9 by 15, and I would end up with something long that I would sew, but this is a flannel material and it's kind of thick. So what I do now is I'm going to take my flannel, pretty side up, and take just white cotton and put it on the top, like so. And then back here, have my iron. I'm just going to try to iron this as flat as I can. Alright, so I don't really want to use blue. If you look here, I have blue thread on here. Let's see if I can do it one-handed. I'm going to take this out and I'm going to add black. So you take your thread, goes under, over. This has got to be brought up. Let's see. Bring it up a little more. It's kind of hard to do one-handed. Up, down. Bring that up, and then we're going to hook it, and then we'll needle it. We'll have to put our needle in. I'm sure I look absolutely beautiful, guys, but that's what you get. Never claimed to be awesome. Beautiful. Just awesome, actually. Oh. So if you can't get your needle to thread, just cut it off. Let's see. And then you're just gonna get it to go through that little hole. There it is. And pull it on through. Alright. So, let's see. I might have to stick my phone up on something. Let's see if this little basket will do it. Alright. Now we've got our pretty side in, and we're going to start sewing. So because this is 2 and it's not the 9 by 15, I have to sew these 2 pieces together so that I have one solid piece, and that's how I'll work with this. So I bet this is going to be loud, but oh well. You'll stop watching if it's too loud, won't you? Alright. I'll start at the end of the fabric. Go forward a little. Go back. Oh, the vibrations is getting us. Wild monkey. Can you still see it? Oh well, this is gonna have to be good enough. So all the way to the end. And I sew backward a little just to keep my stitch. So now I have a straight stitch, and I do trim mine. So I go back through and I trim. This is the bottom, so I'll trim that as close as I can. Yeah? Alright. And then I go to the top, and this is where you're going to sew in about 2-inch intervals. So this will be sewn here. This will not be sewn, and from here to here will be sewn. So let's see here. Want your fabric to be flat. Alright. And I usually sew, I give about a 1/2 inch or so fabric I'll show you in a second. It's about yay much. I'm just going to pull out some string, move it on back. Try to line that up so that it's even. Throw a little bit back. Alright. So now it's bunched up because I grabbed that. So we'll cut here. Also, tip, have a trash can next to you so that you can put all this extra string. I had not been doing that and I just been setting it down. Well, after you do that 80 times, you've got like a mess everywhere. So I don't cut the top unless it looks completely uneven, and this one isn't that bad really. But I will trim the edges to make sure that they are straight. It's easier when you're sewing. So, see how there's that extra? I'm just gonna real quickly go through and trim that off. That's good. Good for me. Let me show you a better view of it. So we've got, okay. Now, what I do, let's see, I'll move this over here. Almost dropped it. My niece's dollhouse is back there. Alright. So this is the stuff that I want to be on the front. So I'm going to lay that down, and my white fabric is up. I'm going to pull this down, and that seam that we created, we're going to iron it flat. We're going to iron that. It would make for really good comedy if I'd burn myself, but I've done that already, so I'm not trying to do it again on camera. Okay? So I've got that pretty good. And because this is two pieces, I'm going to go ahead and flatten this seam. I'm not going to split it. I'm just going to flatten it. And then I'm going to iron that. It just makes it easier when I'm sewing. It's not necessary, but it does make it easier when you sew. Alright, so now we've got this. Now let's move you guys back here. So you can see my sewing machine, sort of. Good enough for me. Now, I have cut, Sarah has cut, really, elastic. Because you can buy the thick elastic, and you just have to cut it. Where's my camera? I wonder if you can see. On this, there are lines, and that is what keeps this fabric, the elastic, because it's an elastic thread with this mesh. And so we just cut in between so that we can have these pieces for the ears. So now what you do is you're going to, but this is your front right now. This is how you sew. Take your elastic. You're going to open here. You're going to shove your elastic at this edge. So here, right here is where my elastic is. So I'm going to start sewing. Come on. And at this point, I want this elastic to really stay, so I'm going to go back and forth 3 or 4 times, okay? So I start at the very edge. Right now, the elastic is inside of here, okay? So forward and backward. I think that's pretty good. So let's see if I can get a different box. You might still shake off, but we'll see. Now I'm going to sew down. And I'm going to stop when I've got about this much fabric left. I'm going to stick my hand through the other side. And I'm going to push my elastic through, making sure that my elastic is flat. Wonder if you can see that. Can you see my elastic right there? There you go. You're going to push the other end through this little hole that you've left over here. I just take my pointer finger, I put it through, and I grab this elastic and I just drag it to the other side. See my elastic poking out? I'm just going to put it as flat as I can against the edge here. Sew it. Going back and forth a few times, and it just will keep that elastic taut. You know, I'm not gonna lie, my first couple of ones, probably not as good as this. Because I really didn't do it that. I didn't know. It's a learning experience, right? So go ahead and cut off your excess string. See, I've got some here and there. Now you'll get your other piece of elastic, and we're going to do the exact same thing to this side. Just make sure that you're flat. See my little bend? So I'm going to take my elastic, and I'm going to stick it in like so. And that's where I'm going to sew. I'm going to sew like so. Oh my God. I've actually watched the Tiger King twice. Listened to it, really, because it's so quiet down here. I can just hear them walking upstairs, because I live upstairs, my dad lives downstairs. But he's quarantined at the Abbey, so. Anyway. Go back and forth. Just ensuring that the elastic is there. And at this point, because I have quite a bit of room, I'm going to go ahead and reach in and grab my elastic. You do want to make sure that you're not sewing over it, but I do have it held, just, you see the outline? Have it held by my finger. So I'm waiting for somebody to like walk through the doorway at any time, because they just come down here. Now I've got 2 inches left. I'm going to go ahead and pull that elastic to the edge. See the elastic? I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did up there. Down here, I'm just pulling it taut. And it's going to be even at the edge. Make sure you're not messing your fabric up. You still got it even, alright. Back and forth. I'm going to cut this off, trim my thread off. And at this point, you kind of want to inspect it to make sure that you've got everything the way you want it. So I have it sewn here on the edges. My elastic seems great. Now I will turn it inside out, and I like to do it by this opening on, once I turn it inside out, will actually be where you can put the filter. So I just open it, I take a corner, I shove it through, okay, then I have it inside out, it's right side out now. I grab one elastic on one side, find my elastic for the other, and then I just pull them out, shake it a little. There, I've got the start of my mask. Alright, now on the back of your mask you have this strip. This is where your nose piece is going to go. I use pipe cleaners, you can use metal, whatever. And this is where your mask will go. So what I do at this point is I'm going to start sewing after. Let me. Oops. I'm going to fold my pipe cleaner in half. I will twist my pipe cleaner. All the way to the end. And once I reach the end, these are kind of pointy, so I fold them over, push them pretty hard into themselves. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to bend it. I kind of try to get them to the pointy, you know, where it's on the inside. So pointy stuff. Anyway. And this, like double protection or something. Twist it again. Now I have this little piece for the nose. Alright? Now I'm going to take it and I'm going to shove it to the bottom. This was not in the original tutorial, but I have found it to be easier this way because you're going to be sewing along here. You don't want to close this because this is where you can put a filter. You don't necessarily need it. It's not just the CDC recommends 2-ply cotton fabric, okay? Usually I would also go through and iron this and this, but for time, I'm not really gonna do that yet. I can do that in a little bit. So I will start sewing at the edge. Okay. Now I sew about half, maybe a little more, of that top strip, and then I'm going to lift up my foot and I'm going to take my pipe cleaner. Where's the light? Whatever. There's a pipe cleaner in here, and I'm going to shove it through to the other side that I've already sewn. It's made a little pocket for the pipe cleaner. That way I can finish sewing and I'm not going to mess up my line by sewing the pipe cleaner or breaking a needle, which I've only done like 4 times. Alright, now you go back through and you just find where you were sewing. So I've done that. So all the way to the end. You're going to stop with like a 1/2 inch and reverse. Now at this point, we have sewn a line across. Huh, that's funny. Because I made a tutorial, I sewed this one shut. But whatever, it doesn't matter. It's because, oh well, you can't win them all. So what you could do is go through with a seam ripper. See, it's good to mess up because then people will be like, well, I sewed it shut, Tasha, what do I do? Well, you get you a little seam ripper and you just go like so. Seam rippers are so handy. I lost one and I have searched my dad's entire apartment. No idea where it went. So I just got one. It's only like $1.25 or something. I'm just gonna, I bet that happened because I did not iron it. Oh, what irony. Oh shit. I'm gonna go back through and I'm gonna sew that again. I'll do it a little bit closer this time. I'm gonna pull that flap back. Make sure that your thread is always under the foot. Well, that's a learning experience I have here. There we go. That's good enough for me. That's good enough. I'm just going to use my... I'm going to take that pipe cleaner, which is right here now, and I'm going to start shoving it through to the middle. And that's going to be your nose piece. Or you know what? The middle is wherever you really think it is. So that looks a little off. I'm just going to push it down Yeah, great. Cut your extra thread. I'm going to go ahead while I'm right here, and I'm going to be ironing this down because I don't want it to get caught in anything else again. So, I don't know how many I've made tonight. A lot. I'm kind of getting tired. I have to work in the morning. So, I'm going to try to be as quick as I can about this. I'm going to sew now a strip here and here. That's going to keep the nose piece from moving back and forth. Thought I could do it without cutting, but you sometimes have to cut every single time you do this. So I'm going to fix this line that I messed up now. That's good enough for me. Get that needle out of there. This one is not perfect. Usually I wouldn't be focusing on the camera. I'd really be on the middle of this and listening to something, music or YouTube. Whatever. Excuses. Well, it's a 22-minute video, I swear. I'm going to go ahead and iron this now. So what I do is I take and I push the seam to the outside. Like I split the seam so that it's going to fold better when I pleat it. So I guess I can move you guys so you can see it. What have you guys been doing to keep yourself from going crazy? I built my turtle an over the tank basking dock, but it was just a little bit too big, and I had these aluminum shears. It was really hard to cut it, to be honest, and he's just really happy with this other deck. So, and then I figured I'm gonna start making these. So once I started doing that, it was like, you're just gonna have what you got, Donnie. So I have a red-eared slider. Now I will just trim all of this thread off. Remember earlier in the video when I said make sure you throw it in the trash? Well, we've moved beyond that now. We're just gonna throw it all over my ironing board. But that's okay, because I can come back through and just rub the thread into a big ball and chuck it. Just like that. And I have told people, first off, you never ever microwave this. You watch me put a pipe cleaner in the nose, okay? So, but I do tell them, I'm not perfect. I'm not a seamstress. There might be random strings that you have to clip later. You know, it's just a part of the thing. So at this point, I'm going to fold an inch. And on the video, the original video that I watched, I have tweaked this to be my own. But I did take pointers and the pattern from her. But she does have a paper pattern that she uses to fold, but I prefer to just do it myself. So it's, you fold an inch, fold 1 inch from here to here, and then fold a ½ inch. And then you're just going to repeat that. And this is what took me the most time in the beginning when I was learning how to do this. This is what took me the most time to do because I could not figure it out. But I got it. So it's going to look something like that. You have to go through and you have to really see how it will look. I did not make this one perfect. I'll show you one of the ones that I made. But that's okay. Perfection is in like the, eye of the beholder, so whatever. So now that I've got it pleated, I'm going to iron it a little. In this part, you might have to really hold your iron on it for a bit. Be careful, don't burn yourself. Okay. This is good enough for me. This one isn't perfect. It'll just go in the pile of more giveaways. That's what I've been doing. If you have the ability to make these things and give them away, there are a lot of people who can't either afford this, and even if it's $3 you're selling them for, some people just can't afford that, or they don't have the access to get it, or whatever. So I'm just making these. If you have the ability to make these and give them away, I feel totally fulfilled doing this. So if you can't, that's okay too. But whatever it may be, we gotta be there for each other, right? Right. So now I've sewn the pleat down the edge of the pleat. So I'm going to sew all the way across the bottom. And at this point, I'm just holding on to it. I don't have it pinned. I don't have it anything. So I'm just going to sew all the way across the bottom. That is nowhere near perfect, but it is sewn, and that's what matters. So now this part might be tricky, so I just like to kind of eyeball it. You might prefer to do it a different way, but as long as you get the pleats somewhat symmetrical, you're going to hold it. Let me put my box back. Oh God. I just hold it with my fingers, and I'm going to do bursts with my foot, the pedal. So burst. And that helps because as you're going over the pleats, it can be kind of hard. So get your scissors. Cut it off of there. I'm going to cut this as well. 30 minutes, that's what it took me to make this. Just about 28, 27. I ain't mad. That's not bad. There's my completed mask. Nose piece that bends so that it can fit. You move this over your chin. Voila. Here's some that I've completed that I made perfect. Pleats are perfect in my opinion, and the way that the flannel, you can definitely see the difference. Well, let me flatten this one back out. There's a difference. It's not huge, but yeah. Happy sewing.